Hey folks, so I had some time before I actually have to meet Mr. Lu, and since I'm waiting, I thought why not just do a video, right? And I think previously I talked about quiet quitting, but because we were running short of time, I didn't have time to cover on the Millennials and Gen Z generation, what they think about quiet quitting, right? So today I have my drink with me right outside this 7-Eleven which I just bought, and right now I'm just going to record this video. Not sponsored, by the way, but the point is today let's talk about millennials, right? What they think about quiet quitting. Now you see, millennials are the generation born between the years of 1981 to 1996, so they most probably are in their 30s or their 40s now, and they have worked for above 5 years or even up to 15 years within different industries or different companies. Some of them may still stay in the same company as well. So you see, these millennials are people who already have some sort of work experience, and they probably had quite a long stint in the corporate world, so they know how it works, right? How to actually deal with managers, directors, senior corporate people, and also the things that are happening around the workplace. So they kind of knew and experienced the whole part of it. But you see, here's the thing for millennials, right? Most likely they have hustled for quite a few years, and they maybe have achieved some level of achievement. Some of them maybe have been promoted through the ranks to become a manager or even director level, senior manager level, right? But you see, the rest of them who have not progressed through the ranks, who have not climbed the corporate ladder, despite them putting out the best efforts at work, may not really see that corporate ladder is good for them. And at the same time, they see their peers, they see their co-workers who maybe put in lesser amount of work, but because they know how to carry themselves well, or they know how to speak to management to show themselves in front of the public. That's why some people have gotten their promotions, right? Perhaps they were more willing to show themselves in front of the crowd and present themselves better. So for this other group of people who are not willing to present themselves and not able to show themselves well, most likely they have been left out by the management because they were just a quiet working, right? Just doing everything by their own, not showing themselves, not telling their bosses what have they achieved, because they are kind of the introvert kind. So they think that presenting results are kind of showing off, and they do not belong to this kind. Or in other scenarios, they may have worked under the same manager for many years, but until like corporate restructuring took place, where management have changed the people that they are reporting to, or maybe they have sacked away some of these employees that they were previously working for. So they lost the connection to their direct managers, right? These people whom they look up to. And maybe the new manager or the new boss is not someone that they can connect with well enough, and they felt that all this corporate BS thing about fulfilling the higher or senior management and achieving their goals and targets instead of looking after their own employees is not going to work for them. So some of them may already see quiet quitting as a form of escape, because maybe they have enough of working, they do not want to really strive hard enough for the next role, for the next promotion, for the next target that seems to be always moving, set forth by the management. So maybe in the meantime, they may be actually looking for other jobs within the same industry or even other industries, right? If they want to venture out of their comfort zone. So that's why quiet quitting is really appealing to this group of millennials. Maybe they are looking for something better in the meantime, or maybe they can be also setting up their own side businesses, side hustles in the meantime, so that one day the hustle or the business grew that big enough, it can actually take over their main job, so that they can just quit the main job and then just do the hustle full time. Yeah, so I have to cut short this recording because Mr. Lu calling me already. I have to meet him. So see you guys later. You know, there are some really bad news right now because the core inflation in Singapore announced by MAS has risen to 5.1%. But you know, the good news is you can now sign up for Moomoo account using my referral link in the comments, or you can actually scan the QR code right here. And I still can't understand why some of you haven't signed up yet, because once you have deposited $2,700 as your initial deposit, you can get a $40 cashback coupon and also one chance to spin the stock wheel, and you can get up to one free Amazon stock. Now, if you want a really good reason to use Moomoo, you'll be glad to hear that they will be offering 0 commissions for all US stocks and ETFs forever. And at the same time, they're offering 0 platform fees for the first year. And even after the first year, the platform fee is just 0.99 per order. With the Moomoo app, you also get real-time data of the market as well as live prices, you know. And you know that's quite important, right? Because these features in some other brokers are actually chargeable, and Moomoo is giving it to you for free. Now, even if you are a full-time student right now and you don't have a lot of money to do the initial deposit, Moomoo is lowering down the requirements for students because they just need to deposit $1,000 and they can get the same sign-up rewards as per other working adult users. So hurry up, use my referral link down below or scan the QR code to sign up for your Moomoo account right now. Okay, folks, I'm back. So you see how spontaneous that could be, right? I can be in one place filming and then I could be in another place after the sponsor. So you see, because I was talking to Mr. Lu, right? So I actually had this idea about talking more about retirement. And so you see the fact about millennials is that they have plenty of choices because firstly, they are still young, and secondly, they have a few years of experience within the corporate world, and maybe in that specific industry, they are the experts, right? They were the specialists. So it's easy for them to consider job hopping, and maybe they have like other opportunities lined up against their competitors and they will be poached to join the competitor companies. So that's why maybe during this period between the year-end bonus where everyone is waiting for, and maybe after they have gotten their bonus, then they will submit the resignation letter and join a competitor company for higher pay. I mean, that's how it works, right? If you stay within the same company, most likely it will be the same pay grade with very small annual increments. The only way to really bump up your pay is to join another company for like a 20% pay increase. And that is what a lot of millennials are doing, job hopping to increase their pay grade. And meanwhile, between the period from now till the year end, they are just quiet quitting, right? Just doing the bare minimum, not trying to exceed any expectations because they know that there's an end in mind. They're going to leave the company anyway, so there's no point to overperform, over-deliver and overwork, especially in the fourth quarter of this year where everything is starting to slow down. So yeah, that's my thought about millennials, and most likely these are the biggest group who are my audiences. And if you're watching this right now and if you are a millennial who is quiet quitting, then maybe share why are you doing so and what are the reasons behind all this. Okay, let's talk about the last generation, the Gen Z, and why are these people actually quiet quitting. You see, Gen Z are people born like after the year of 1995 up till the year of 2010. And these are your really young folks, right? In their early 20s. Some of them just turned adult this year. And most of them really do not have a clue of what corporate life is about. And many of them just step into the working world. But you see, the parents belong to the Gen X generation, right? Most likely in their 50s already. And they know how their parents work. Most likely the parents are working overtime, trying to pay the bills and feed their families. And they don't want to follow in the footsteps of their parents because they know that the world has changed. No one is to stay at the same company, working in the same company forever and trying to rip off the rewards, but they will most likely not come. So seeing how their Gen X parents work, they do not want to repeat in these footsteps, and they know that hard work is not for them. This generation is all about working smart, doing the bare minimum and getting the maximum rewards, right? That's how the Gen Z thinks. But not just about the parents and the family upbringing, right? If you look around us in this Singapore society, how expensive are things, right? Consider the property prices have soared to the roof, okay? We have record high prices in resale transactions, like over 25 months, nothing has been done other than the recent housing market policies to curb the resale market demand. So you can see that the social status symbol for this kind of folks have kind of changed over the years, right? I mean, in the 90s and the early 2000s, people were talking about 5 C's, and most of it consists like cars, condos, credit card, cash, and something else. But you see, for the Generation Z people who are in the early 20s, it's all about freedom. It's all about lifestyle. It's all about the wokeness, right? How people really feel and how they should put their mental health as a priority instead of putting their body out for the companies to slaughter. I would say that the Gen Zs are the smartest generation because they have seen how their parents in the Gen X work. They have seen how the seniors as the millennials work hard and trying to transition but are still being punished by the society. So they know that from the start, they need to start working towards their dreams. And most likely they will have no drive to please the company. I mean, if you look at this kind of short form videos on TikTok, Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, right? You see like when Gen Zs go into the interview, they become the alpha of that interview, right? Last time it's like you're very afraid of what the interviewer asks and you will try to please the interviewer. And then you see a Gen Z walking into the interview office like, what can the company offer me? And why should I work for your company? What does your company have benefit to me? So it's not a totally wrong idea, just that it's very different, right? The generation thinking is very different. And you see this generation of Gen Z people have grown up in a generation of tech, okay, of advanced technology. And many of them are exposed to technology, mobile phones since young in their maybe 7 years old in the primary school. They have been exposed to such smartphone technology. And most of them know how it works, right? It's not about working hard. It's about working smart because you can be famous one day for just a very simple viral video. And that could accelerate your path to being an online content creator or someone who is a media personality. So you see, times have changed. It's not the only way to work money through corporate Success is not deemed on how many years you work within the same company. Success can be overnight. All you have to do is to really put in the work, put in the effort in believing what you create. So this generation is also about side hustles, right? Because many of them has been exploring what are some other hustle ideas that can generate passive income or cash flow for them. Okay, most of them has stepped into the online content creator route. Some of them has started up their own side hustles like makeup artists, like tutoring. All these are high profit generating businesses, and they hope that one day their business or their side hustle actually picks up and take over their main full-time job, such that they can then transition into their business or their home-based side hustle and scale it up, right? Then that could take over their main full-time role. So for this Generation Z, they are not about working overtime. They do not want to work overtime. In fact, working overtime is a taboo for this generation. If there is overtime, they are not going to work for this company. I mean, unpaid overtime, right? Because they could spend more time after work to focus on what they really like to do, their passion projects, which can earn them more money compared to what they were doing in corporate. So meanwhile, this generation is just quiet quitting during their corporate work, right? Because they do not aspire to climb the corporate ladder. They have seen their parents sacrificing their time through climbing the corporate ladder, and they do not want to repeat in their footsteps. So that's why they are not about working overtime. They are more about efficient working, going home on the dot when it strikes 6 o'clock, and then doing their things that they really like on the side. So maybe that's why quiet quitting is really appealing to Gen Zs as well. Now, you see, the thing about quiet quitting, above all that conclusion, is that quiet quitting is never a solution. It can be a phase, but it can never be a permanent solution. Because did you realize that for my 3 generations, the Gen X, the Gen Y, and the Gen Z, all of them have something to work towards too. For the Gen X, it's something like working towards having more time for their family. For the Millennials and Gen Y, they are looking at opportunities to job hop to the next better career or better company. And for the Gen Z, it's about transitioning to a side hustle that they can scale up to become their main business. So for my 3 examples, they are all working towards something. They are running towards something. They are trying to build something better out of it. So quiet quitting is merely a phase for them. It's not a permanent solution for them. And the fact that they are working towards something becomes their drive and their goal to work towards it. And that should not be a shame, because there's always something motivating inside of them, that intrinsic motivation that's driving them towards the goal. And quiet quitting is just a passing phase for them. Now, if you're considering quiet quitting like full-time, long-term, like over 5 years, then maybe that may not be your way out, because you're just running away from something. So I think if you're considering quiet quitting, then you need to think about whether you are running away from something that is really bad, or are you running towards something? If you're running towards something, then that's an optimistic mindset, right? That's optimism, that's something to work towards you. But if you're running away from something, then there's just pessimistic mindset and negative thinking, right? Then that may not be so preferred lah. So in life, it's always about finding a balance, right? For these Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z people, whether you are in any kind of situations, you have to think for yourself whether quiet quitting is the right way for you. And if you're just running away from something, you'll forever be running away from anything else, because there's nothing to work towards you. There's nothing to motivate you. And that's why I just want to conclude here that everyone can do what they want as long as it's legal and it's ethical, right? I'm not here to like pass my social judgment to you. You're free to do what you want, really. Just don't harm other people's lives and affect their lifestyles negatively. So yeah, that's my take on quiet quitting for these 3 generations. Now, if you really want to hear about what I talk about Gen X, because that's a whole new generation, right? Then refer to my previous video. I also introduced what is quiet quitting about and why it was taking over the world.